All right, well, we have decided very last minute to take the old C6 Corvette Competition drift build to the Pro-Am down at Sebring this weekend. Now, I wasn't planning on competing in this series, but we are 6 months into the year, and we have yet to do a competition. We just have not had the best luck. You know, the main first event we were planning on doing, Riverside 50K, it got postponed. So then we said, all right, well, we'll go to LS Fest, get our feet wet, get some seat time, get a comp under our belt to start the year. And then the truck broke down on the way there. So the car is basically all dressed up with nowhere to go. You know, it's prepped, it's got all the fluids changed, nut and bolt checked, we've got tires mounted in the trailer. Like, we are ready to go. All we've really got to do is throw the thing in the trailer. So we might as well go down here and get some seat time in a comp environment. You know, we're not taking it super seriously. We're not trying to compete for the season, for a license or anything like that. But it's like we could get seat time at a private day where we're just driving around, you know, for fun with no real goal. Or we could go get some seat time at a comp, and that way it's same for same. I think that's going to be better for us for the data. That's what we're looking for. So that being said, though, as much as the car is ready, we do need to make a gear change. So the rear gear is set up for Texas Motor Speedway, which is a very fast track. So it's like 126 in third. That is going to be too long. I don't know exactly what the right gear is going to be. I've never driven this track. I've never seen this layout in person. But eyeballing it, I think I've got a general idea of where we can start. It's going to be a bit of a compromise because we need enough gear to not be, you know, top and limiter on the run up, but we don't want it to be so much gear that we're just baking the tires off to the track or have to downshift. The car has a really wide power band, so I like to use that and try to just run one gear through the whole track if we can. So that's what I'm going to shoot for. But that being said, we might as well change it here in the AC as opposed to out at a very hot track. So I'm gonna get to it, get this gear changed, we'll get loaded up, hook the Fummins up. You know the drill, get this thing ready and head down to the track. I can do this without jacking it up. Oh yeah, definitely can do this without jacking it up. But all our gear stuff is in the trailer, so we might as well get it hooked up. The Fummins batteries kind of are rough, so I gotta see if it'll start. Because it's like we may swing and miss on the gear, but at least I know for a fact the gear that's in it is not going to work. I don't know. I'm going to have to try. Gear change. All right, car is loaded in the trailer. Really enjoying these E-Track straps. They definitely seem to work a lot better at they don't come loose as easily, but got the car, got the scoot fully charged up. Been making good use of the winch. That was a nice add-on. Got all our tires mounted and an extra pair. Got our spares. Just gotta toss the one wheels in here and we're ready to roll out. So we hit the road with the Fummins, and I was definitely hoping for some smooth sailing, considering we haven't driven this thing anywhere far in over a year, and we're towing the trailer, and we really don't want to break down again towing the trailer, and it wasn't quite smooth sailing. We had a lot of traffic, we had rain, but overall it wasn't terrible. We topped off with diesel, trying to kind of displace the diesel that had been sitting in there, put some fuel additive in it, just trying to keep this thing happy, because it's holding in there, it's doing a good job. We gotta take care of it. But throughout all that, we made our way to Sebring International Raceway. Now, I've only been to this track one time. I've never driven here. I've never driven any of these events, and I was pretty excited to try this out. I've never driven this track layout surface, so it's all new stuff, but it's still close to home, and this is a huge real deal facility. I mean, they do the 12 hours of Sebring here. It's an iconic track, so I was looking forward to the challenge of driving with new people at a new track. All right, well, we made it back to the hotel. We had a bit of an eventful drive. It's supposed to be 2.5 hours, which is part of why we came. Local, simple, easy, but it ended up taking us probably 4 hours to get here, just with traffic and rain and, you know, the usual, pretty much what you can expect on every drive. But we made it. We made it to the track. We went ahead and got there, unloaded the trailer, or unhooked the trailer, got the car teched because we're starting super early tomorrow. It was supposed to start like 8:30 or 9 driver's meeting, and it's got pushed back to 7:30 because there's a potential chance of rain in the afternoon, typical Florida summer things. We did have a bit of struggles with tech, which we never have, especially with that car. You know, we've teched that car a lot of places, and usually we get like a shining review of, man, there's nothing, you know, can't pick out anything. But this time we decided to kind of explain how the dry sump worked. And anyway, we got through tech, trailer's there. It's going to be, everything's tomorrow. Normally these kind of events are 2 days, you know, you have like practice, qualifying, and then the next day competition. But this one is practice, qualifying, top 32, top 16 on. So it's going to be a busy day. Should be interesting. Again, we haven't done a comp since December of last year, the LZ Invitational, period. And in that car, this will be the third comp we've ever done. And we've had the car done for almost a year now. So, you know, we're kind of like chomping at the bit to do a comp. And this isn't the type of comp we normally do since it's Pro-Am. But, you know, it's better than nothing. And it's better than just driving around by myself on the track and whatever. You know, good seat time in a comp environment before we head into the big deal comps later this month. So, that being said, we need to get some sleep because we got to get up really early. So pick this back up in the morning. So we got up bright and early, hopped in the Fummins, and started making our way over to the track. This is a really good test of this thing while we decide what we want to do in the future tow rig wise, because it's a whole comp weekend. You know, we had to tow the trailer there and then get in and out of the truck at the hotel, and we're really getting a good comparison with this truck compared to the new truck. And don't get me wrong, the new truck was really nice, but it does feel good to be back in the Fummins. You know, we've made a lot of memories in this thing. We've done a lot of trips in this thing, and it's kind of nostalgic. So we cruised through the countryside in the morning. The sun was just coming up. We spotted a cool Lotus on the way in on a trailer. So there was, I believe, an autocross going on at the same time. The line at the gate was moving a little bit slow, so I was worried we might miss the driver's meeting, but we made it in time, and we found out that we bought a friend from home. I don't know what we should name him. Comment below. So we headed out for our first runs of practice. We've got a couple hours of practice. I'm not sure what the layout is, but we're gonna figure it out as we go. So first run out the gate, and I felt like we definitely missed the mark a bit on the gearing. It was just felt too short. It felt like we had a little bit too much grip. Things just did not feel right coming out the gate.
I'm gonna drive and get in the lead. Okay, this thing is so fast. Oh my God! You're doing your thing. You're doing great. I'm gonna drive out of the lead.
So before making a bunch of changes based on that one run, I decided I wanted to go out and do a lead run and try to do a few more runs and just feel it out. Sometimes you'll think that something's not right with the setup and it's causing X, Y, and Z, and really it's just, you know, me needing to learn the track. So I want to learn the track first and then worry about making changes from there if we still feel we need to make a change. So on this run, I decided to just do basically a lead from the chase lane, and the problem I was having was I was just running out of gear so quickly, and that run, the car stalled. I initiated, I was on the handbrake, and the car died. So I pump started it, but I have an electric power steering pump, and it took a second to come back online, so then I was working with no power steering. It was definitely something I want to avoid. That is something that could absolutely ruin you and take you out of competition if that were to happen in a battle or qualifying.
All right, well, we did, I don't know, 6 practice laps, 7, a decent bit. But anyway, we're gonna go drive some more. Made a gear change. We're at 102, went to 105. So the problem is the gear's too short for the run-up, but it's about right for the track. So I'm trying to find that happy medium. And then we took some toe out of it. We had just left it in the setup from, I don't even know, from what was supposed to be clutch kick. I don't even know when we put that grip setup in, but it was a long time. Oh, that was the Invitational. We just left it the same. So we took some toe out of it, some static toe. We're gonna see how it drives. at idle, hot, which it shouldn't be using that much idle control valve. So that might be why it stalled on entry. I'm a little worried it's going to stall on entry. Even if I pop start it, it takes a few seconds for the power steering to come back online. So yeah, anyway, that's really my biggest concern, is just the entry. Kind of like sitting on limiter as you get to it.
So this is basically knockout qualifying, which means if you qualify in the top 20 or so, your first run is your score, and then if you qualify lower than that, you have to go out and try to get a score again, and you can't get any better than, say, 20th. So I wanted to put a good score on the board, but I also wanted to play it safe and not take any risk of zeroing, just to make sure we were locked in for competition and we didn't have to go back out and do it again. So it's a tough line to toe sometimes.
Rather than even driving that speed that he needs to, put it in gear and coming out. Look at the smoke he's putting in. He is babying that throttle there, but yet he's still producing fast. So here we're going to see him put something in. For sure. A little bit of color coming around. Taking his outside on a smoke screen.
Wasn't too bad. We got an 85.3. I went probably a little too conservative, but that's usually my goal. In qualifying, it's very, very safe run, especially like this. It's basically knockout qualifying. The top 8 should get a buy run in theory. I think we're sitting 4th or 5th. So not bad. I'm not a qualifying driver. That's not my thing. Like, going absolutely balls to the wall for one run isn't really my forte. My forte is locking in a good, consistent run and doing it every time. So that's what we're going to focus on. It's just been a while, man. So, okay, does knock the rust off. I haven't done a comp in 6 months. So this is a relearning how all this goes. But yeah, pretty much that. Overcast, hopefully it doesn't rain. So we did get a buy run, which means we didn't have to battle until the top 16. So we got everything ready and headed out for our top 16 battle. So I knew going into this chase run that I had a pretty decent advantage. You know, I had a good lead, I hit all the marks, and you know, he was a bit further back, kind of had to cut line and whatnot to keep up. So I was trying to play it safe. You know, in this scenario, this comp, this isn't what we're aiming for with this car. So, and in no circumstance, even battling for the win, is it worth risking messing up the car. So we're keeping that in the back of our head. Drive hard enough to learn and try to progress, but not so hard that we're gonna risk a big wreck with the car. It can still happen, but we're trying to avoid it.
Yeah.
So we did end up getting the win on that one, so we had to go back and prepare for our top 8 battle. As the day goes on, the battles get closer and closer, the car gets stressed more and more, so luckily Raldo and Josue are there to stay on top of it with me and try to keep this thing happy while we are thrashing the snot out of it all day long. So this run, we're battling my buddy Miles. Funny enough, when I started drifting, he was one of the guys I looked up to. He was absolutely killing it at CFRC. He got out of drifting for a while, but he got back in with this Mustang, and he's been doing a lot of comps, so I was really excited to battle him. I knew his car was a little bit slower than mine, so instead of a struggle of trying to keep up, it's a struggle of trying to keep behind, trying not to straighten out in the chase, and just trying to mimic him as best as possible. We got the win on that one, and we were headed into the top 4, and each run I'm feeling more and more comfortable and at home in the car, which was the whole goal of this little experiment of coming down here. It was just get more seat time in the car under the pressure of comp. So heading into the top 4, I was feeling good, I was feeling confident, I was feeling ready. I was excited to do this battle. So we unfortunately took the loss on that one. We didn't move on. They gave the win to him instead, so it was time to pack it up. What?
Not gonna battle for it?
Nah. Let me think about it.
You okay?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the car. I just don't see how that one went that way.
You wanna go protest for it?
No, I don't protest. I mean, I was in the car, but I mean, I could see him behind me chopping line the whole time, and I was on his. I just missed the first outer zone a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. All right, well, we are on our way home. We've really been putting the Fummins to the test. It's kind of trial by fire for this thing. We've had kind of every scenario, like regular highway speed, traffic, which we are in right now, rain, stoplight to stoplight. So it's definitely, if not for anything else, a really good test of this truck in a bunch of different towing conditions. And so far, the old girl's been keeping up. Yeah, not the result we were hoping for. You know, I did have my hopes set on more. We are learning the car always. You know, this was only our second comp on 315s. We did one other comp on 265s. So we don't have a ton of comp experience in it, and every run at comp, I feel like I'm learning the car more. I'm getting more natural with it to where I don't have to think about what I need to do, especially in the chase position. I can just do it. I did struggle with the run up on this one. It was just a little long for the gearing I had, but the gearing was right for the track, so it was a weird. I tried it a bunch of different ways, so I kept messing up my reference points as far as time, because I tried to kind of go out the gates slow and then get after it, go out the gates fast and initiate really early, but then you're handbraking forever, and I couldn't find anything I really liked. I knew if something was going to bite me, it was that. So anyway, we're on our way home. I'll give you a breakdown of my thoughts on it once we get home. It was definitely a strange call. You know, normally once I take a step back and try to remove my bias, as much as I want to think I'm not biased towards myself, you're always going to be. I can usually find the reasoning, but in this one I couldn't find the reasoning as to why we lost that battle. The math didn't math. I couldn't justify it. But we'll look at it again and I'll let you know my thoughts. But yeah, we're driving home, so I'm gonna get back to driving. But old Fummins hanging in there. We got heated and cooled seats. We got all the luxuries, right, Osway?
Yeah.
And we got traffic. Gotta love some traffic. Gives you time to reflect. Oh, also, forgot to mention, we were supposed to battle for third, but my buddy Steven was still in it. I love Steven. He's a great guy. He was my spotter at one point. Anyway, I really like Steven. Steven was still in it. We were going to have to battle Steven. Steven's doing the season. We're not doing the season. So the points meant a lot more for him than for me. So I decided to bow out. See any real point in battling. It wasn't going to really do anything for me if we won, but it does a lot more for Steven if he gets the win. So we just decided to bow out, load the car up before the rain hit, and head home. All right, well, we made it home. The Fummins fortunately made the trip without a single issue, not a single hiccup. For sitting for over a year, I am so stoked. I was a little worried about that, especially definitely didn't want to break down in the pouring rain, but you know, it went off without a hitch. The truck did great, so that was really, really nice. It was fun to use that truck again. It felt good seeing that thing in the pits when we were walking around. It's a solid rig, so that was great. The Vette did phenomenally well. We didn't have to touch it. We didn't have to work on anything aside from some setup changes, which we do minimal of in general. All we did really was take some grip out of it and change the rear gear again. We didn't have the ideal gear. We had 105 or 115. 110 I think would have been nice, but you know, we got it pretty well sorted with minimal work. And other than that, we just fed it tires and fuel, and she went all day long without even a hiccup. Didn't complain, nothing. I mean, we were getting her a little toasty towards the end there, but still well within safe realms. It was a very, very hot day, and we were pushing this thing pretty hard, so couldn't ask for much more out of this thing. I'm so stoked with how well this thing's done. We put so much time into it, and it's nice to finally reap the rewards of having a car like this. So that being said, as far as that last battle goes, I still don't really understand the call. I did go back and watch it because, as I said, you know, I was in the driver's seat. I saw things from the driver's seat. I thought I had a pretty good idea of how the battle went, but you know, you miss things. So I went and watched, and especially watching the drone footage. Basically the way I saw it was, you know, I did mess up. I initiated too early. I shouldn't have been changing up my entry like that. But I entered really, really early. I didn't get out to the outer zone initially. I kind of got my bumper to it midway, got my tire in it towards the end. But from there we were all settled. You know, we made it to outer zone 2, we filled that. Made it to the touch and go, we filled that, no problem, nice smooth line going through there. And then we did make it to outer 3. We were a little bit off, but it was because the outer zone 3 was just not marked anymore. You know, I've never done a competition where they didn't remark the lines before competition, and the lines were completely gone. I mean, there weren't even cones. So it was kind of a guessing game as to where it was from the driver's seat. I mean, even watching the footage back, you have to kind of look at reference points to figure out where it was. So looking at it, kind of slowing the footage down, it looks like I was just outside of it. You know, maybe my bumper was like a foot outside of where the box would have been. But you know, I was playing it safe because if I had gone over it, it would have been a 0. So that was my lead run. On his lead run, he got into outer zone 1 nicely. He filled outer zone 1. He didn't get all the way into outer zone 2. He missed the touch and go by probably 5 or 6 feet. He was in the vicinity, but not in there. But then he missed outer zone 3 by like 25 feet. Like he missed outer zone 3 by a big margin. And that was something that was really noticeable in the car. I was like, this is not where I've been going this whole time. Like we're way inside of where I think this zone is, even though I can't see it. So, you know, looking at the footage, it looked like probably 25 feet. So chase-wise, you know, I felt like I had a pretty good chase. I put it on his door pretty early on. I did have a little bit of a bobble in the first turn just because he got on power pretty late, about halfway through the turn, but we got settled in, you know, followed him through the transition, kind of stayed wide with him, got on his door, nice, kept it nice and close, nice and consistent, followed him even, you know, when he went inside on that last turn. However, on his chase, you know, he was kind of there proximity-wise in the first turn, but then he kind of fell off and he was really, really chopping the line. You're supposed to go as wide as the lead driver, and he was way on the inside of the track, you know, flirting with the inside line for a lot of it. And, you know, especially that last turn, he almost got ahead of me completely, you know, like back tire to front tire. So the way I saw it from the driver's seat and the way looking at it now was basically, you know, the leads were a wash. I missed a zone. He missed a touch and go in a smaller zone. So you call that about even. But I had the better chase, you know, better proximity, more consistent, whatever. From what I had seen, I thought it was probably going to go our way. Or at worst, one more time. If it was just like the judge said, hey, you know, you both made mistakes. We want you to clean them up, like do it again. I definitely didn't expect it to go the other way, but that's competition drifting, you know? It's something you have to accept. When you go into it, you can't get super upset about it. You can't dwell on it because it's part of it. And there's gonna be times where you're on the favorable side of it. It's just part of it. It's competition drifting. You know, a lot of those guys, including him, driven a lot of those events. They drive them all the time. They're kind of, you know, the local guys. They know the judges. I didn't really know any of the judges. I'm not sure what their background is. And, you know, just judging is subjective at the end of the day. You know, there's kind of cut and dry things within drifting, but the call is on the judges. It's subjective, and they made their call. So it's a bummer because I think we would have got to battle Lewis Lawns in the finals, which is the other Corvette, the Kevlar one. Very similar car, you know, front transmission, dog box, quick change. Rowdy LS, just nitrous instead of turbos. So that would have been a really, really cool battle to do the finals with him. But, you know, maybe another time. So that being said, I'm Jibber Jabbering. Just wanted to give you a rundown of my thoughts on it. That's just drifting competitions. Hopefully we get to do more of them this year. I feel like every time I drive the car at a comp, I'm getting more and more comfortable in the car, and it's a weapon. You know, if I can learn how to drive it at its potential, it's a solid unit, man. It feels good. So that being said, for now, we are out of time. So I'm gonna end it here, but I do want to say thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and that I sure hope I'll get to see you next time. Goodbye.